Hi, everybody. Welcome to Got Therapy. I'm Michael Baltimore, and we're here with Dr. Dan Rose. Dr. Dan Rose is the director of the Counseling Center here at Columbus State University. Dan, how are you doing today? Welcome to the show.
No, not too bad. I'm looking at the thing below. Can you show that thing below us? That
yeah, the widescreen shot. Yeah, you see that.
One of these days, I'm going to be Sean Cruising. I just want you to know that.
Okay, all right.
My goal is this is the first step toward me becoming.
Well, we all want to be more like Sean. I mean, he's coming in here. By the way, he'll be here this afternoon. He's going to talk about dark matter, dark energy.
Dark energy.
And
I've had some dates where that's been pretty prominent.
Yeah.
A lot of dark
All right,
matter.
so we could talk about planets and galaxies and so those kind of space science issues, but let's talk a little bit about something we started talking about prior to recording. Stress.
Stress, yes.
Yes.
This is the big semester has begun. The first few weeks, heading toward the midterm.
Well, here at university, and stress is probably everywhere at this point. There's a lot of demands on people.
A lot of demands. A lot of people sleeping in, missing CSI reruns. I mean, there's a lot of stress.
Or class.
Class, yeah. Class. We want to talk about with stress. We also want to talk about the idea of stress inoculation, right?
Okay. Yeah, so what can we do to prevent this, set things into motion so that we diminish the effects of stress on it? Because we're going to have stress. We can't do away with stress.
No, in fact, my man Freud said the only stress-free state is death.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's Freud.
We would, yeah, cheery guy.
Pretty happy note there, but the notion is that we just have to manage it in some ways. And so what are some ideas that you may have about how we might manage it? We're talking about students right now, but we can talk about faculty, adults, and all these other folks. Let's talk about students.
I'm in an argumentative mood, so I'm going to begin with managing. No, I want to say no. You don't want to manage stress.
I don't want to manage my stress.
You know what I mean? Your stress
can I manage my stress?
Well, stress is your friend. We have stress for a reason.
Stress is my friend.
Stress. Your emotions are your window to the world. So when you say manage, what we really want to get you to be able to, as opposed to wrestle or fight or find a way to suppress, we want you to dance with your stress. We want to be able to listen to it and do something good with it.
You know, there's a portion of stress that's probably good for us, right? I mean, there's a certain amount that keeps us energized and moving and making deadlines and progressing in our world and taking care of things we need to take care of.
I wouldn't be wearing pants right now if it weren't for stress.
Okay. I mean, there's a lot of things that keep us in track with what we need to do.
You got it. Things you
got being one of them. Exactly. All right, I got that part. All right. So, I use the word manage, not manage. What should I do with my stress?
Well, the first thing I think is, and I think about you want to be able to listen.
Okay.
And you want to be able to open up a space to be able to listen to yourself, period, but also your stress. Because often what happens is someone has been a closed fist for a long time, and by the time they listen to their stress, they've already got some pretty serious symptoms. You know, stomach stuff. They got like their sleep. Like I had somebody come in the other day, and they talk about they couldn't sleep, had a hard time sleeping. As soon as somebody says that to me, I make the assumption there's some stress and anxiety, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So by the time you get to that place, you've had a lot of stress. With stress inoculation, we want you to begin to listen early on, at the very beginning.
Okay.
You listening to yourself from the start.
Okay. So paying attention to what's going on with us. Now I assume that that's not just the cognitive flow of thoughts and information, but maybe our that's right. We're talking from your Freudian background here. We won't mention that again unless we have to. You're talking about how we feel inside our emotional life, but also our physical life as well.
And
so paying attention to what's going on with us.
We feel before we act, and we feel before we think. And so there is a moment that if you are open and listening to yourself, you can be able to do something with that feeling before it becomes stress with a capital S. And that's where I think the idea of stress inoculation comes in. Okay. If we're talking about students, and this works for everybody. Okay. But metaphorically, there are only two forms of disasters, I like to think. And there are hurricanes and tornadoes.
All right, let's
go with that.
All right.
They come up pretty quick. You can predict maybe a little, but they hit you, boom. Hurricanes, you got some time, you know? I lived in South Florida, survived 2 hurricanes. We had time, you know? Like you had time to go get something, hang out, decide whether you wanted to get the heck out of Florida.
Right, you're going to board up the windows, you're going to get in the station wagon and head north, right?
How did you know I had a station
wagon? I just had a feeling.
It was nice. So with students,
right.
we have midterms. They're coming up, right?
Yes.
That's a hurricane. We know that. And we know that as the stress may begin to build, we may know that there are ways for you to prepare for said hurricane.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's break it down just a little bit. So I've got this syllabus. It has my midterm dates when I'm going to take that for that course. Maybe I'm taking more than one course, 2 or 3 courses in the studio. Sometimes they take 5 courses at a time, but which is another session, another talk about that. But all right, I've got the syllabus. I know, but wait, I've got time. I might put off that assignment and that reading the chapter. What goes on but leading up to that, and what would you suggest maybe that people pay attention to? I mean, not everybody's on the top of every assignment getting it done beforehand. And
some
that
people
kind
are
of thing,
losers. No, I'm kidding.
That's a good response. But
yeah, that's it.
Tell me more about.
Or words like this. Now, even at the very beginning, if somebody is procrastinating,
right.
Procrastinating is a disorder of stress and anxiety.
Okay.
People put off things because they're not listening to themselves. Okay. I was talking to someone earlier, and they were talking about how before a test, particularly a big test,
right.
if you were to go into their apartment, you could eat off the floor, the bathroom, because it engage in
totally
all sorts of activity to be able to avoid the thing that was directly bothering them.
Got it.
But my thought is if they were listening to themselves in some form or fashion, they may have made a different set of choice. And if they had been doing some things maybe a little ahead of time, not just the syllabus stuff,
right.
but on the syllabus should also be, before you even do anything, are you exercising regularly? Are you getting that kind of sleep?
Right.
What do you do? How are you giving yourself regular self-hugs?
Okay, so just a listening to yourself, but also a routine that people, day to day, perhaps. And what about that person that cleaned up everything? Now, what happened to that person to sort of take them off? I didn't want to face that. I didn't want to do that task, and I'm procrastinating, or I have.
Well, think about stress like a car alarm. The alarm's going off. They don't listen to it. They didn't do anything with it.
Okay.
You know? And instead, they're not even aware that there is a monster in their backpack. That there is something that that is in the back of their mind, causing them a tremendous amount of stress and anxiety. Being able to listen to yourself, you could, not this doesn't happen with everybody, doesn't always work.
Right.
But if you allow yourself a chance to breathe, literally, if you were to say to yourself, well, I have to do some homework today, in that moment, you step back and take a giant breath, literally be able to just, and allow yourself to be in a transitional space before you then move on to that next thing. You are making use of your stress, and if you begin to feel a sense of fear, one thing to do is we do this in therapy. If you can put your feelings into words, into thoughts, then you can do something with them. And this is sort of a self-therapeutic technique people can do, in that sort of after they give themselves that breath. What this feeling they have, they put it into words. What is it that they're feeling? If it's stress, that means there's a sense of anxiety and fear. What are they afraid of? You can move yourself in a direction where you can be able to do something non-reflexively. You give yourself a choice to be able to engage in a situation that you're afraid of, as opposed to reflexively sort of avoiding it. In the case with the guy who was cleaning up his apartment.
Right, right. So in a therapeutic situation, you're really helping that person to listen to themselves and then put things into words and kind of identify and define what's going on with them in their body and seeing and their mind and seeing how that may affect their stress level. Okay, so I'll play the devil's advocate. Here I am. I'm your client in there. I've got a lot of things. I haven't made all of these deadlines, and I'm feeling anxious about it, maybe a little depressed, maybe anxiety, some of those kind of things. What would you guys do? Where would you start? You talked about you want me to listen. Listen, I'm very anxious. It's hard for me to listen. What would you do?
Well, first thing, if you were my client, I would recommend trepanning.
Yes, well, yeah. I can't afford your treatment anyway, so I don't know. That's not going to happen.
But so what I'm hearing you say then is there's a technique right there. What I'm hearing you say, So I'm already
Yeah, there you go. Natural kind of segue into
that
wow,
just
this
happened,
worked.
yeah.
Right.
So what I hear you saying then is that you were already anxious, and the idea of being able to talk about this is already a problem, right? So we may have to intervene in a much more indirect way initially.
Right. Okay. So not straightforward in the conversation style, but maybe
might.
some other kinds of things you want to do to help that person open the door to it.
And one of the ways to do that, there are, we talk in the treatment setting, we talk about the idea of containing and the holding space, and the way in which you generate a space where someone feels more comfortable be able to open up and be able to bring certain things forth. That can be as simple as the way you speak to someone. There is a way to be able to, if someone comes into my office and they're noticeably anxious, the first thing I do is usually, indirectly, find a way to be able to ease their anxiety. Right? And maybe with some people, you can actually begin to have them talk about it. If they're, what's this like coming, if this was our first session, for instance, what's it like being here, man? You know?
Okay.
What's it like having such an attractive therapist?
that question never came to mind, but all right. So you really wanted the person to kind of open up, find some words, find the way to talk about it, identify it, and then what's the action phase of this? I've kind of I've talked about it enough. I found this holding space. I feel safe and trusting in this therapeutic environment, but I have to do some things, right?
Well, here's the catch. It works on have I paid off my car yet? Because
right, so there's always a car payment.
Yeah, I've got things. I got bills.
Right, we got
if
bills.
Those have been paid, we move a little quicker. And if that's the case,
just for our audience out there who's watching, if you've seen the show before, you know what we're doing here, and hope you kind of stay with us. All right, but that is a piece maybe of it. Hopefully, it's a small piece that you're making a living while you're helping someone.
Yeah,
okay,
you got bills.
Okay, but you want me to do something. You give me homework? I mean, is there something I can do after the therapy session? What should I work
this is where
on
the inoculation piece comes in. Because if lots of times, particularly students, or most of us do this, when we're in a stressful situation, we often jettison the very things that we think as least important than actually the most important. Right. Like I've had people come to me and say, you know what, I had to stop going to the gym. I'm not hanging out with my wife or my kids or my girlfriend or whatever because I got things to do.
Right.
And that is actually counterintuitive.
I'm staying up later. I'm not getting to sleep.
All that
I'm
makes
not
sense.
Exercising, that kind of
in fact, often with students, they'll say, well, I'll stay up till 6. I won't sleep, and I'll be able to knock this out. Well, all those things in some way are actually feeding the very thing you're attempting to stop.
Right.
So one of the ways, if I were going to work with someone who had stress and anxiety, one of the main things is I would have them to be able to check in with themselves. I might have them schedule some sort of meditative exercise as they go throughout the week to be able to check in with themselves. I might get them to be able to think about what it is that they have in their life that brings them some sort of joy or connects them with themselves. Exercise is pretty common. Being able to make sure that they have connection with friends. If you ask someone what their natural rhythm for being able to sort of navigate and deal with the things that cause them stress and anxiety, they often have at least an implicit idea of what that is. You can help them to make that more explicit, and they can begin to actually give themselves that stuff as they move throughout their week, throughout their day.
Okay, so you really want the folks who are dealing with stress, and we opened up this session talking about stress inoculation. So get that inoculation for stress, and then maintain it over a period of time. When you have that syllabus, we're talking midterms, but there's also finals and some other reports and papers and things that are due for the students. So they've really got to get into a regular routine of managing, listening to themselves, and kind of understanding how to manage it.
And if to be aware of, if the student, for instance, what are your most stressful class? If you look at all the things that are going to be required of you as you move throughout this semester, what are the worst? Do you have some idea of what's going to take the least amount of effort, the most amount of effort? Have you given and this is all pretty simple, but are you giving yourself the stuff that your body needs? Are you getting enough sleep? Lots of people tell me, I only need 4 or 5 hours of sleep. No, they don't.
Right.
What about food? Are you skipping meals? Exercise. What do you do every day that gets you reconnected to your body? What do you do to move around? All that sort of stuff.
Right, and friends, and you mentioned
Friends.
that before, and just connecting in a social way with others.
That is really good too. Adam Sandler movies.
I was waiting for that, but what you just did, I almost anticipated this just a little bit, not Adam Sandler necessarily, but the idea of humor, which you use so well, and we've seen on this show.
Oh, it depends on who you ask.
There's no stopping it, but in case, that's an inoculation as well, to a sense of humor and laughing and being able to
for instance,
take things in a light way.
Part of the reason, there are lots of reasons that I might be laughing at or making humor, but if you're in a room where there are all sorts of cameras, on you, and you were trying to have to think on your feet, humor is a way to be able to deal with your stress. And I sort of mention Adam Sandler as to be funny, but at the same time, laughing, funny TV. I can think of someone I've worked with in the past who would say, I have to stop doing everything when the semester comes up and I watch TV. If I'm going to watch my favorite TV show, it's going to have to be, I'm going to have to take big chunks of it on Netflix after the semester's over.
Right. I
don't think it's a good idea. I think that you need to be able to, if you 2.5 Men is your favorite thing on the planet, God help you, and you got a Charlie Sheen tattoo, you probably should, you should probably indulge a little on some 2.5 Men.
Pace yourself with that and see, get your work done, maybe.
A little too much 2.5 Men is probably not good for your cortex.
Is it still on? I guess it's still on.
Let's get that Ashton Kutcher, right? That was that guy's name. He was hanging out with that Demi Moore.
Yeah.
I don't think they hang out anymore, though, do they?
I don't think so. I think he's coming up, though, in the Steve Jobs movie. I think he's playing Steve Jobs in an upcoming movie.
He's playing Steve Jobs?
He's going to be Steve Jobs, absolutely. We got to see that one. I don't know if that's going to increase or decrease our stress. All right, so today, thank you for telling us about this and helping folks in this, all of what we do.
Do you think Sean Cruisen gets stressed?
We're gonna ask him. Sean's coming in today.
You ask when he comes today. Ask him how he deals with his stress.
I will. Stress in space is what we're really going to talk about. But we want to talk to him. But we hope that the kind of things we talk about, we joke about, we get serious about, that is helpful to the people watching. And I really appreciate you coming in and taking this time. We're going to do this each week.
Yeah, we got some heavy stuff coming up. We got some good stuff.
Give me something off the top that you thought about that we're going to really get into in the future shows for Got Therapy, because give us a teaser of what's coming.
I think we should talk about violence, mental illness and violence.
Always in the news these days.
I think it's important. We could talk about. We'd also we'll do some. We could do some fun stuff too.
All right.
We were talking a little bit about death metal and gangster rap. They don't call it that anymore. I don't think anymore, do they?
No, I don't think so. I think that's.
Talk about are these things good for you? Right. We will. I think we should
you
talk
might be surprised about this.
I think I think you'll be surprised. I think.
All right. So folks that are watching and know us, we're here at Columbus State University on campus, and if you have some ideas about the kind of things that you'd want us to talk about, we've got a long list. But if you have some ideas, contact us over here at Columbus State Television, and we'll be happy to talk about those issues. So, again, thank you, Dr. Rose.
It was wonderful. And it said Sean Cruisen doesn't have a beard like this.
Yeah, see, and the guy just put up This Week in Space Science on the top of it. That is not the show you're watching.
It is a show. I'm Sean Cruisen. Hello, my name is Sean Cruisen.
No, that's not how this is going. But we will be back next week. We're going to talk about those issues. We've been with Dr. Dan Rose, Counseling Center Director here at Columbus State University. I'm Michael Baltimore, and we'll see you next time on Got Therapy.